So today I wanted to talk about what just happened a few days ago. So the G7 met up and they were talking about how they plan on investing in Africa. So check out this title, it says G7 leaders hold a session on investments in Africa. So in case you didn't know who the G7 are, the G7 is an intergovernmental political and economic forum consisting of Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, the United Kingdom, and the United States, and additionally the European Union, the EU. So really from that list of names, you can get a sense of who these guys are. So these guys are pretty much some of the biggest players in the world stage in terms of economic power. So these guys meet up from time to time and talk about their plans on investing and developing their own economies and their strategies and how they're going to do that. So that's who they are. So they met recently in Italy. The main focus on that meeting was on talking about Africa and how they plan on investing in infrastructure projects. And one of the key things that caught my eye was on a project that's been talked about for quite a while. That project is about a rail corridor that will connect Zambia, DRC, and Angola, and eventually connecting all those parties to the coast of Angola, which eventually would lead them to being connected to the Atlantic Ocean, which eventually means that, it's essentially a plan to move goods from Zambia, DRC, all the way to Angola, to the coast, and eventually leading to the United States and to Europe and elsewhere. So that's the main purpose of that project, is to connect those countries to the coastline. So you might be wondering, why are all these people interested in Africa? So one of the biggest reasons they're interested in Africa is because of all the resources that the continent contains, particularly places like the DRC and Zambia. So the DRC contains a lot of these minerals that people need for all this battery technology that they're pushing out. One key thing to take note of is that players such as the United States and the European Union are interested in Africa because they are not happy with the level of involvement China seems to have had in Africa. And as we all know, China has been investing heavily in Africa, particularly in this whole mining space and digging up all these critical minerals that are needed for making battery technology and semiconductors. So that's why all these players are interested. So let me give you some context on this rail corridor I mentioned earlier. So this rail corridor is called the Lobito Corridor. So this corridor traces its roots back to the 19th century when the Portuguese colonists built a rail corridor connecting Angola's coastline to the DRC and Zambia. This corridor served as a vital trade route for decades. So it facilitated the exporting of copper and other mineral resources from Zambia and the DRC. However, civil wars and political instability in the region during the later half of the 20th century led to the decline of the Lobito Corridor. Large sections of the railway fell into disrepair, bridges fell, became unstable, etc., etc. So that's the background you need to understand, is that this is something that the Portuguese initially built when they were colonizing in Africa, and the main objective was to extract. That was the main purpose. Extract as much as you can and sell. And over time, when they lost power in Africa, that corridor fell into disrepair, and hence why this has become the focal point all of a sudden again. So fast forward to recent times in the 21st century, renewed interest has emerged in revitalizing this corridor. And obviously the potential benefits are just undeniable. The DRC is full of minerals. Zambia is also full of minerals, particularly copper, which is what the Western countries need. So obviously fixing this rail corridor will allow the landlocked countries to be connected to the coastline. Most importantly, connected to a coastline which is closest to the United States of America. So connect the DRC and Zambia to the Atlantic Ocean. That's the most important thing to remember here. And yes, the locals do stand to benefit massively from this because it will allow job creation, job opportunities, and eventually once this railway is up and running again, will allow goods and services to move and flourish between all those countries involved. So there's lots of upsides to this story. But at the same time, to me, these governments still need to tread very lightly, because we do not have the level of sophistication that all these countries have, and somehow they seem to keep taking advantage of our situations. We don't seem to have strong leverage to be able to negotiate good terms with these people that want something from the continent. So for me, it's a tread lightly, but the upsides are undeniable. The biggest challenges I see with this project are the fact that Chinese companies already dominate within these countries. They are the forerunners in most of the mining operations in the DRC and in Zambia. So these guys already being in the space and occupying it, I don't know how feasible it might be to be able to purchase these minerals from the Chinese companies and ship them over to the United States and elsewhere, because China also needs these minerals a lot. They need them a lot. That's why they have been investing massively within Africa, so that their people can go out and start projects in Africa and take those resources and send them back to China so that they can further develop and build whatever they need to build over there. So that's one big challenge they'll face with building this out, because at the end of the day, they might not have the facilities ready to be able to extract and send things over to the United States or to Europe. The revival of this corridor seems very complex to me, but the potential rewards are still quite undeniable. There's a lot of upside to be had for the people of DRC and Zambia and Angola, all included. But the success of this project really depends on whether or not the parties involved, such as like the United States and people from Europe, are willing to come in and invest a lot of money, because it will take potentially billions of dollars to be able to revitalize it and get it functioning again. So I'm really interested to keep watching this story and see how it develops further. But in the meantime, I really would like to know what you guys think about this topic. Have you heard of this story before? If you have, tell me what else you've learned about it in the comments below. I really do read the comments, so please do share your thoughts below. Do you think the US and the EU are good partners for the DRC and Zambia, or do you think China is a better partner to these countries, as they have been so far for the past decade? Let me know below. Otherwise, until then, thank you for watching this video. I look forward to seeing you again. If you haven't, as always, please subscribe.